Hi, I'm Bob Dixon. Welcome to the Eagle Insight Podcast, your go-to source for bold and actionable leadership insights. With more than 30 years as a military officer and a strategist, I know leadership is about real impact. In this series, I sit down with top industry leaders to uncover their challenges and their success secrets. Ready to elevate your leadership? Well, hit subscribe. And if you'd like to be a guest, visit 5eaglesleadership.com/interview. Let's dive in. Today, we're talking to Heather Eason. She is with Select Power Systems out of Ridgeway, South Carolina. Heather, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bob.
Well, do me a favor, give us an overview of your company and tell us what you do.
Yeah, so Select Power Systems is a woman-owned engineering firm. And what we do is we design and build the power grid. So we really transmission, distribution, substations, renewables. We do everything but nuclear generation.
So you've got the power grid and the generation part minus nuclear?
Yeah, we don't generation, but we do everything else in the electric power grid. We also do support some distribution gas companies down in Texas. So we're actually moving into gas too.
Wow. So this is not some small effort. This is a big deal.
It's it's national now. We were going global. We had a partner that we were working with in France. We did one project with them. It wasn't something that I felt like was something I wanted to continue doing. So it's like, you know what? USA, Continental 48, we've got enough work here. Let's stick to the 48 states we're in. So that's what we do. We're in 48 states.
Well, that is a huge undertaking, and I have a little bit of a background in power. I was a Corps of Engineer officer and was responsible for 7 power generation plants, and know a little bit about it, probably just enough to be dangerous. So I have an idea what you do. I was never pretend to be an expert on it. It's a fantastic undertaking, and incredibly important as the demands for power across our nation is increasing, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all.
Oh, absolutely. AI data centers, it is just absolutely the need for capacity and need for new generation, as well as new transmission and distribution and the substations that go along with it. We need a good fuel mix. So renewables are going to have to be part of that solution too. So it's incredibly important what we do. I truly feel blessed to be in this industry because I know it's important and we make a difference.
Without a doubt, and you're absolutely right about what power demands are going to accelerate, not just the electric cars that most people think about, but those AI data centers, all of the other things associated with it, those are power hungry. And you're going to see a lot of challenges to our current grid. So would you say that growth is probably the biggest challenge in your industry?
Absolutely. Growth and supply chain issues still. The pandemic messed up supply chains. Our industry is not fully recovered yet. If I want to build, let's say I want to build a combined cycle plant, I can't buy the equipment and get it delivered in the time frame that I'm going to need it by. I'm probably going to run out of generation before I can get the equipment purchased and delivered for me to build the replacement for the generation. And that's our biggest challenge right now is how do we, to use a football term, how do we lead the passer? How do we, when we don't have projects approved and funded, get on the list for the supply chain so we can start getting the equipment that we need so that when we're able to build whatever we need to build, we've got the equipment to build it with. That's probably our biggest challenge right now.
And an incredibly difficult challenge, not something that you can solve in isolation because there's so many moving parts that are connected together in that problem set there.
Absolutely. I was joking with a friend of mine recently. I said, I ought to start a manufacturing firm and start building transformers. I can't buy them, so I'll just build the damn things. And the person laughed and said, there was somebody out there that could do it, it'd be you.
Well, it seems to me that you have to be incredibly busy with that. But when I look at your LinkedIn profile, one of the first things it says that you are mom of 4 kids and 4 dogs. So
That's correct.
I love that prioritization, and I wonder how do you balance the demands of such a huge endeavor with being the mom of four kids and four dogs?
Well, I will say I don't do balancing. Balance takes effort. I don't have any more effort. So I'm like, I'm not going to balance. I do what I call integrate. So I integrate my work and my life. And so, you know, people will laugh because sometimes I'm not working at 2 o'clock because I'm doing something with the family. But then at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'm still working. And it's like, well, yeah, I have to, whenever my family's available, I prioritize them, and otherwise I prioritize work. So sometimes that means late at night I have to still work. Weekends, holidays, doesn't matter. I pretty much am always working and always not working at the same time.
I think that's a healthy mix. If you can keep, your brain focused on family when you're with family and focused on work when you're with work, that's probably a much healthier way to do it than when people want to really block out their time and say, nope, I can't possibly do any work after 5 p.m.
Absolutely. And I will say it's very important, when I have my time with my family, that I cut the electronics off, I cut the cell phone off. I even have to put it in another room so that I'm not tempted to pick it up and look at it.
Absolutely understand that. These devices are very useful in terms of getting information very quickly anywhere in the world, but then they can also be such a huge distraction, a detractor from us being fully present.
Absolutely. And I think that's something important. I I have to balance my life and integrate it in such a way that my family feels loved and valued, but my company also has enough focus and attention to grow and prosper. And both are equally important, and both require as much from me as I can give them. So this April, we actually started, my husband and I started a fitness thing. It's like, okay, well, we have a lot on our plate. We're very stressed, high anxiety. I had blood pressure issues. I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Oh my God, you need to go to the hospital." And I'm like, "I'm not going to the hospital. Just tell me what to do." So in April, we started a whole fitness thing. So we're exercising, eating healthier. I've got a whole plan for a huge vegetable garden this year. We're going to try to grow as much food as we can. I found a local farm that does clean, um, no GMOs, grass fed, free range animals, and they'll ship to the local butcher shop. So it's easy for me because I go to the butcher shop and I pick up what everybody else would from the grocery store, but it's all clean, grass fed, healthy, clean meat. So that's something else we've incorporated. And I think that healthy life, clean eating has helped me to maintain my focus and my mental clarity so that when I'm doing these different actions, I'm able to stay focused. I'm not exhausted. I'm not tired, which I was struggling with prior to April. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I can tell you that I work with a lot of different leaders, and one of the things that I found consistently is that people, when they get busy, start to sacrifice their self-care. They start to sacrifice that wellness. They're like, well, maybe if I just stayed up a little bit later, I could get more done. Or if I, skip a meal and I work through lunch, and then they make poor choices because they're starving on the way home. So they just swing into a drive-through, and there's nothing healthy in any drive-through. I'm convinced of it. But we start to make those
Absolutely.
sacrifices, right? Instead of going to do a workout, I could get 10 more emails done. But those sacrifices, then they take a toll. And over time, we start to realize that, okay, I still remember a little over a year ago where I saw a picture of the family, and I'm like, who's the chubby guy down on the end? And I go, oh, that's me. And I just looked tired
Yeah.
because I had fallen into that same trap that I try to talk to my clients about doing of don't get so busy that you forget to take care of you. And it becomes a huge problem. So I applaud you. That's fantastic that you and your husband have made a dedication to that. And I know that you're reaping the benefits of that mental clarity, having the energy to show up as your fully present self in all those situations. Now,
Yeah. And the hardest part for me to get to that point was delegation. I'm a little bit of a control freak. I don't micromanage, but in my mind, it's always quicker and faster for me to do something myself than it is for me to teach, train, and have someone else do it. So I fell into the trap of I did everything myself. When I started the company, I was an owner operator. I ate, slept, lived the company. I mean, I did everything 100%. I had no support. And then I hit the wall one day. I was like, oh my God, I hadn't invoiced in 2 months. If I don't
Yeah.
invoice, I don't get paid. I don't have cash. I can't make payroll. And so I was like, I have to learn to delegate. I have to learn to stop, take the time and train somebody. And what I've learned is that when you delegate, you give them the opportunity to expand and grow themselves. Not delegating is actually selfish because you're preventing them from growing. You're preventing from giving them the opportunity to do something new and learn. So it is key and critical to delegate and to give tasks to team members because it helps them to grow and learn. And they also, my team members, they appreciate the fact that I trust them with some of this stuff. I remember the
Oh
first
yeah.
time I turned over payroll, my CFO, now he's a CFO, and I wasn't letting him do payroll because I was like, nope, it's got to be perfect. People have to get paid. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be right. And I finally turned over payroll to my CFO. He's like, oh my God, you're actually letting me do some of my job? And I was like, well,
And once
yeah.
he proved he could do it well and you never had to do it again, how did that feel?
Oh, it was wonderful because it took several hours to go through payroll because we had up to 50 employees at one time. It takes a lot of time to go line by line, individual by individual, project code by project code. And so I was up against the wall sometimes on Wednesday where it's like, okay, I got to have payroll in by 2 o'clock or people aren't going to get their paychecks on Friday. But I hadn't, I'm on line 32 of 120. How do, how do I do that? And so I put a lot of undue stress and anxiety on myself that I didn't need to. And once I finally broke down and just handed it to Brian, I said, okay, it's yours. And I trusted him. And he hasn't missed a beat. He has been perfect. And I'm like, of course he is. He's Brian. He's a CFO. He's really good at his job. He knows what he's doing. Why? What was wrong with me? Why did
I
I take
love
so
it.
long to do
I
this?
love it. Yeah. So what other areas have you been able to let go?
I well, probably the biggest thing that I I mean, I had like anxiety style panic attacks over this was the bid process. So, I would get opportunities to bid on projects and I was like, okay, well, I need to go through, I need to make sure, the question and answer date is met. If I have questions, they're submitted on time. I need to make sure that the estimate is accurate, and then I need to make sure it gets uploaded prior to the due date. And so I was managing this every step, every step. I was in the weeds. I was putting together the spreadsheets with the estimates. AC Elementary takes this long, and this is who I'm going to put on it, and this is that rate, and this is so. I mean, I was doing all of that down to that minuscule detail. And I realized I was like, this is insane. I can't do this. I have a competent, capable team. I need to turn it over to them, trust them, and then just hold them accountable. If we have a project that we go way over budget on, then I do need to go back to the person and say, okay, what was your thought process here in the estimate? Or why do you think in the execution phase we exceeded your estimate? And, do some of those deep dives to figure out what's going on and allow them to grow and learn with me. Hey, let's do the analysis together. Let's figure it out. And then let's put in place a process to prevent it from happening in the future. And so I'm able to develop my management team. And now at this point, I've been doing this for about 2 years now. They're at the point now where my COO, I just let him run with it. I'm not even involved in the bid process anymore.
That's amazing, right? All that freedom that you've got, and now you can concentrate on the big strategic questions instead of worrying about whether or not payroll is done exactly right or the bidding process is done exactly right. You've got competent people that you've trained, and you keep them accountable. You probably spot check and make sure the stuff is still on the up and up. But yeah, you're now able to do all of that stuff. What prompted you to finally say, okay, I've got to let go of stuff?
It was a friend of mine, Tim Martinez. He he's a really great guy, and he does like business coaching, and we're just friends. And so he one day got on the phone with me. He's like, you've got to change. You have got to change. Your company is not going to grow. You are now the limiting factor. You are the problem. And if you don't get out of the way, your company is not going to be able to grow into what it can be. And boy, that was a wake up call. When you got somebody that you respect and you're friends with that tells you that, it's like, okay, I need to look in the mirror because I don't want to be the limiting factor. I don't want to be the problem.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love that you said that it was a friend of yours that was a business coach, because the Five Eagles Leadership, we are leadership coaches and we do business coaching as well. And everything that you're talking about is exactly what we talk to leaders about. If you really want your business to be successful, then don't be the single point of failure in there. You want to be the strategic leader that enables and resources and trains and develops the leaders around you so that you don't have to do it anymore. It's going to run itself so that you can concentrate on the strategic stuff.
Exactly. And I can say that I've been in this industry a long time, over 2 decades. I truly believe the team I have developed right now, this team, this group of people, the individuals and how they function together, they are the best that I've ever had in my entire career. They are awesome. I am so proud of the team and each individual and how they come together and get stuff done. It's just amazing to sit back and just witness what they're able to do when I get out of the way.
I love that. I love everything about what you just said.
Hey, it's Bob Dixon here with a quick invite for you. If you're ready to revolutionize your leadership, listen up. You're invited to our new monthly workshop called Total Leader Concept. In just one session, you'll get real battle-tested strategies from my 30-plus years of military and business experience. Imagine unlocking tools that not only help you tackle challenges head-on, but also empower you to inspire and transform your team. This is your chance to break free from the old habits and become the leader you're meant to be. Spots are limited, so act fast. Visit 5eaglesleadership.com/workshop and secure your seat today. And let's redefine your leadership together.
Now, so how are you developing them as leaders?
Well, it really depends on the person. One of the things I try to do, and I say try because I know I'm not perfect at this, it's still a work in progress, but I try to get to know each individual, who they are, and how they best perform so that I come to each person in the best way that I can. You know, there's some people that they want to hear from me regularly. If I hadn't called them in 2, 3 days, they're worried that I'm mad at them. I'm like, no, I'm just busy. You know, but then I've got other people that are like, hey, I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. Don't call me unless there's a problem or you got a question. You know, and if I call them just to check on them and see how they're doing, then they think I don't trust them, you know, and it's like, no, I trust you. I'm not even calling about business stuff. I'm calling to see how you and your family are doing, you know, and so I'm trying to learn each individual and respond to them the way they best benefit and give them, you know, the people that need more interaction, I want to give that to them. The people that are like, hey, just leave me alone. I'm a professional. I know how to do it. I want to give that to them. And so I'm trying to do that with each individual. So there's some people that, you know, I've got a kid. Oh my gosh, how old is Steven? I don't know. He's at 26, maybe. He's a young kid and he's still learning. And really, Select was his first real job, his first real big career job. And so he's got a lot to learn. And so I love calling and coaching him. And he loves when I call. But I also have my COO, you know, I tell him, hey, this kid I think has potential. Let's spend a little bit of extra time investing in him and coaching him and helping him to develop. And so me and Mike both will call him periodically just to say, hey, let's talk about what's going on. how best to approach it, maybe how to approach it differently in the future. Those type of conversations. And
I love that. Yeah.
he has grown so much since he joined us. I am so impressed and proud of who he is as an engineer today. He's really doing a great job.
Heather, I think what you're doing there is incredibly important, and that's leadership through coaching, right? It's developing those leaders around you and empowering them so that they're not just getting the information from you through coaching or through direction, but they're experiencing things because you're no longer doing those things. They're owning the spot, the place of the company that they are responsible for. And of course, they're being held accountable. But the fact that they then have the autonomy to be able to make decisions within their area and not get micromanaged helps them grow. And I'm willing to bet that they've made some mistakes and you're helping them learn from the mistakes.
Oh yeah, I don't think mistakes are bad. I think mistakes are learning opportunities. We put safety nets in place so the mistakes aren't bad. I mean, we design the power grid. If we make a mistake, if we get a relay setting wrong, even, somebody could die. So we have to be as close to perfect as we can. So we put those checks and balances in place so that we have teammates supporting teammates. We have multiple reviews. We do full quality reviews before anything's submitted. So, there's the ability to learn through making mistakes, but the checks and balances and the safety nets prevent anything catastrophic from happening. And I think that gives, that extra support gives someone the confidence to try and to say, okay, maybe this is a stretch project for me. Maybe it's a little outside of my area of expertise today, that I can learn and I can grow. And I know I've got those checks and balances. I know I've got my teammates' support. I know someone else is checking behind me, so I can try it. And I don't know that everybody would have that confidence if we didn't have those processes in place.
I think you're spot on. I think where you're getting to there is that trust builds confidence. And when you trust your team, you are willing to take some risks, proven risks, but you know that your team's got your back. And if you're learning from your mistakes, then you're always going to be better off. There are people who don't learn from their mistakes and they make the same one repeatedly. I'm not a fan of working with those kinds of folks. I always love it when my team is learning and I'm willing to underwrite honest mistakes to make sure that they're developing as leaders or developing as engineers or whatever it is that their expertise is. So it sounds like you so solid. I love it.
One of the things that, I do is I try to let people learn from my mistakes. I'm not up here. I'm not the presidential look CEO. I'm wearing jeans, a sweater. I don't have any makeup on. My hair is just brushed, not fixed or styled. I mean, this is just who I am. And I am not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes throughout my career. So let me tell you what I did so that you can learn from my mistakes and hopefully you can not make those same mistakes, because I've been there, done that, So I'm not afraid to tell people, hey, I've screwed up and I've done some big ones in the past. Let me tell you what I've done. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you the repercussions, and let me tell you some of the solutions, so that maybe as you go through your path and your career, you can prevent yourself from the pitfalls that I fell in, or, maybe be able to find a solution quicker because I've maybe solved it in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And that vulnerability to admit that you've made mistakes. And there's so many leaders that think that, well, if I look like I make mistakes, then people are going to think less of me. But the fact of the matter is that people know you're not perfect. And when they look at you and they go, okay, she thinks she's perfect, then they lose some respect for you. But when you are willing to be vulnerable about it, they look, I screwed this up in the past, benefit from that. And you be
Absolutely.
such a real person then.
And I think it's great because, I'm an engineer, but I'm able to help other people with their career. I'm not just technical. I am technical, but I'm able to look at people and say, okay, people are the value. One of the things on our website, if you go to selectpowersystems.com, is you will see our archway philosophy. And the archway says employees are our foundation. And I truly believe that the employees are the foundation of the company. If I take care of them, they'll take care of my clients. But I've got to do the right thing by my employees. And there are times, I'll be honest with you, Bob, I have not made the right business decision because I made the human decision. I have lost money and put the company in, well, I never put the company in financial jeopardy, but one year, I'll be honest with you, Bob, we didn't make any money, but I wanted to still give bonuses and base increases to my employees. So I went and took out a business loan. Now, my business coach thought I was absolutely insane. What are you doing? You didn't make any money and you're taking out a loan? I'm like, yes, I'm getting a loan so I can give bonuses and base increases to my employees because they're valuable. They're worth it. I want to show them that they are valued by the company to the point that, yeah, we're going to invest in them. And you know what? You make that 1 year investment, the next year, profits through the roof. You make more profit that next following year than you did in the former 4 years. And so it worked out in the long run, and I knew it would, but I understood my business coach's trepidation.
Well, yeah. I mean, as a business coach, I would absolutely question that. But as a leadership coach, I understand exactly where your head is on that. If you take care of your people, they'll take care of the company.
Exactly.
My goodness, Heather, this has been an absolute treat. I wrote down so much, but let me sum it up in two quick points here. First is to take care of yourself. As a leader, you have to absolutely take care of yourself so that you have the energy and the mental clarity to be your best. Your family and your business deserve that. And I think the second one, develop, empower, delegate, and take care of your team.
Absolutely.
Wow. That is absolutely perfect. And I love the example that you set for your team and for business owners everywhere of making sure that you and your team are being their very best. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me today.
Oh, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. I really do. If there's anything I can do in the future to help you, please let me know.
Thank you so much.